4 дня.
Good afternoon. It's time to get started. For the 4 days, the School of Young Planners spoke English, but we're going to speak Russian here. And I would like to welcome you all here, and the presentations of the International School of Young Urban Planners. And for the first time, we've been organizing this school with the participation of the Moscow Urban Forum. And I would like to introduce everyone here. On the left-hand side, we have Dushka Bagagunovich, tutor of that school, Gleb Yutkov, the tutor of that school, Darota, with a very sophisticated last name, Darota Zaluska. And Peter Lawrence, everyone knows him. He is the vice president of ISOCARP. And I am a person not to deal directly with that school. Yes, who is that guy? He is somewhere in the middle of the audience. So Brick Stephens, the president of ISOCARP. And one more person who is a guest of this conference, Alexander Timokha, the deputy chief architect of the city of Moscow. And they are all present here. And the attendees of that year are here with us, and the last year students as well. And I would like to give the floor to Peter, and he's going to preside over.
Although I speak a bit Russian, I will speak English today. It will be definitely faster. Alex once told me that I can understand Russian, but I shouldn't speak Russian, so I will not do that. Indeed, it's a great pleasure to be here again in Moscow with Young Planning Professionals National Workshop. Actually, this year is very special for us for 2 reasons. First of all, this is already actually 5th time we have the Young Planning Professionals Workshop in Russia, because the 5th one was during Perm Congress. So we had four ones in as the Young Planning Professionals National one, and the 5th one was the Perm Congress Workshop. And the second thing is that actually this year we are having the 25th anniversary of Young Planning Professionals program. We are going to celebrate this in Durban, South Africa, during our 52nd ISOCARP Congress. So please feel invited to get there. But also, in order to stimulate your interest in our program, there are CDs which have arrived with big problems to Moscow, but they are here. So they are free. Please take them as many as you want, if you want, from 2014 Moscow workshop and from 2014 Gdynia workshop. And we would be very happy if we could actually have more activities of this type in Russia. And also, I sincerely hope that we are going to have more of activities of this type in participation with Moscow Urban Forum. But I have to say that besides that, it's also very important to stress that each of those was made in close partnership with Russian Urban Planning Association. So let me pass the floor to Mr. Dmitry Narinsky, who is responsible for the society at the moment, and with whom we have been actually working on all 5 workshops.
Добрый день, спасибо.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to have a say. And I would like to draw everybody's attention onto the title of that event. And it's a professional planners school. And I should say that we are indeed within a phase of shaping up a specific sphere for professional activity. And that is quite a long-term process, and it hasn't been yet completed. And in addition to the Organization of Planners of Russia. I also represent the Union of Architects of Russia. I'm the vice president of this entity, and we are formulating this particular sphere and shaping up this sphere. That is not the urban development or urban construction. No, that is urban planning. And urban development and urban construction in this country is considered to be a term to identify this part of activity. And the Moscow Urban Forum does not have any kind of an additional word, and it's a forum about everything. And just recently in Poland, we visited one of the workshops to discuss the terminological problems, and the urban development probably has arrived to Russian from the German language back in the 30s of the 20th century, when German specialists actively worked in the Soviet Union. But we have a standalone notion, and that is a part of the construction sector, and therefore we are actually mostly dealing here with the construction and development business. We're going to show you some works, and we feel just that it is some kind of a misnomer, the urban development by urban construction. And probably we will try to overcome these problems of growth. And from the infancy, we will turn on to adults in that profession, and we will rely on to the support of ISOCARP. And this is a real union of professionals.
Thank you very much. And there are two important things about this workshop. First of all, that we have a kind of partner approach, meaning that we are working both in the international and national Russian context. So actually we had participants from Moscow, from other cities in Russia, but also from abroad, and they were working together, exchanging ideas, learning from each other. We do understand planning as the profession where there is no one gospel and there is no one-way transfer of knowledge, but actually where we are learning from each other according to the different issues and principles. And secondly, it was a challenge also for many of our younger colleagues, because we had to do all of that in English and over 3 very intensive days. And you will see the results in a few minutes. All I want to say is that I sincerely hope that the conclusions which were developed here can serve as a kind of inspiration for the professional city planners, for the municipality of Moscow. So I'm very happy with your participation here today. And please don't treat it as a kind of final solution. It's basically a kind of set of ideas which can be used in the further planning of that, and we'll be very happy that if some of these ideas could actually be later on incorporated in some of the formal planning for the area. But also what is very important about the whole thing is that this whole thing should actually be treated as the exchange of knowledge type of experiment, and I sincerely hope that this is going to become a kind of proper part of Moscow Urban Forum in future as well. So the whole thing will be started with the participation of 3 teams which have been working intensively. I would like to take the floor to actually start the whole thing and ask Dorota Kamrowska-Załuska to actually start with the presentation. But before we go to that, I would like to give my special thanks to Lena Kazakova. Lena, where are you? Thank you very much. Without your participation, Lena was working with us over the last 2 months to actually make this happen, and she made it. So, Dorota, the floor is yours.
Пожалуйста, презентацию запустите.
There it is. Transformation of Yuzhny Port, scenarios for future. This is what we worked for last 3 days. YPP workshop bring together young planners from really all the parts of the world. We had 10 Russian young planners, both from Moscow and from other Russian cities, and 5 international YPPs. They were working in 3 teams. We will have a free project. Our workshop was brief, but was really intense. It was kind of brainstorming planning and design exercise, but they worked on a real life planning problem in Moscow Yuzhny Port. I'm now giving the floor to Gleb to tell about the space, the place, and the context.
Yeah, thank you. I will also speak English just to emphasize the team spirit. I will roughly and briefly describe you the site we were working actually with. It is a site located in the southwest eastern direction of Moscow, so it's it has an image of ecologically determined and industrial district, and it was suggested to think about the possible future for this territory by both Moscow Department of Moscow Committee for Architecture and Planning and the Department for Science and Innovation. So it means that although this territory hasn't been transformed yet, and it is just heading towards its understanding of what is the role for the territory and what is the possible scenario of its use. There are already some ideas that and questions that should be raised right now in order to understand how not to lose the opportunities and how to get the proper and efficient use. The vast territory simply cannot be used the same way it is now, with inefficient industrial enterprises, with the same scale of industrial sites, and it will definitely face the definitely face the tension and the desire to be redeveloped, being located just 5 kilometers from the very center of Moscow. So our workshop opens and starts this discussion, and 3 scenarios designed by the members and the participants suggest an alternative view to how this territory may be developed in the future. So let's give them word, because the major work was done by them, and there will now 3 scenarios. Thank you.
Hello? Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon to everybody. Our group is composed of Xenia, Pavel, Karina, and Michaela, and me, Sebastian. We would like to present you our project Fairy Tale for the possible nearest future of industrial Pechatniki territory, situated next to the Nizhny port in Moscow. So our vision for the territory is a unique space for industrial nature space with industrial background in Moscow. And here you see a picture which represents our vision again. So, but first, the existing situation: the territory is situated next to a huge part of the riverside, next to residential site and also industrial objects. But what are the main problems of this area? The territory ignores the waterfront, so we have no access to the river at the moment, and beside of that, the territory forms very, very sharp borders to the residential side around the area. But what about strengths and opportunities? Qualities of the territory are the wide waterfront, the surrounding green spaces, like the green little island in the south of Pechatniki, or the park Nagatinskaya Poima, where it's going to be built an amusement park, and the Pechatniki Park on the other side of the territory. And another important thing is the neighborhood of the residential site in this area. For the territory with similar weaknesses and strengths, there are many projects for renovation around the world. We pick up several projects as an example to show you how it possible to renovate an area to a landscape park. This is the first example in French, which was an industrial area in the past. The second one in the middle shows us an example of art cluster, which appears next to the city of Amsterdam. They change this place, the image and also the perception of the area. And the third offer you a similar but a very huge area. It is situated in Malmö in Sweden, and in this case they change the area from an industrial port to a residential area with big public spaces. So, what's about our conclusion? Finally, in our opinion, the main problem is the river ignoring and also the bad image of a polluted area. And so our vision for the territory is a unique nature space with industrial background in Moscow. So, and as a result of this, our main goal is to use what we have already now in the territory, to use existing resources and to change or create a new image in Pechatniki. And from this point of view, markers were chosen. First one is the river and also the green spaces. The second one are the industrial landmarks. There already exists to use it for a new perception in the area. The third, the people of the residential side of Pechatniki, Kozhukovsky and Nagatinsky Saturn. And they will be the first one who will see the change of the territory. And the last marker are the governmental plans for the territory in Pechatniki for a new transport system. So now I will give you, so my colleague Xenia will tell you the other part of the project.
Thank you, Sebastian. Hello, everybody. Reach our vision. The vision of a beautiful, unique nature space in Moscow River with a unique industrial background. Our project consists of 3 stages. The first stage is focused on the nature, on the river. We design a vast walkway among the bank side of the river and put a new public center into the industrial object that we already have here. So we designed this walkway to open the river for people, for giving them new way of this on this territory. And as far as we already have such a huge landmarks that already exist, we suggest to highlight them and to bring a new image of them. And as far for any change, there must be a new pulse for the territory. We decided to put in these old fabrics a new public center with lots of functions that can be found there. For example, open-air cinemas, playgrounds, grounds for skaters, BMXers, anything what can people from Pechatniki residential area and Kozhukovsky district can need. And as far as this territory and the nearest territory of the Moscow has such a strong automotive past, we decided maybe there can be also an open-air car museum. So the next stage is focused on creating a new perception of the territory. We put some action on the water. We designed a new ferry route among the points that are already exist, stations that are already exist, and we are putting some new stations. So we get a new way of perception of this territory from the water. That's how we create our fairy tale of our territory, which moves from one residential area to another, to new amusement park, to a nature island, and of course to our new public center. And the last stage is about governmental plans about this territory, and we rethought them a little bit. So, for example, one of the main plan is to put a transit highway across this territory, but we decided that it can separate it further. So we decided to make it like a green boulevard inside this territory, to put some public transport, some bike lanes, and to use it not like a separator but like a connector for this territory. And also by putting some new green accesses along the railways that already exist, and connecting our territory with mainstreams of Moscow and Techno Park, which is situated on the north of the territory, we make such a frame which can also be used for mixed use. So here it is, our fairy tale, bringing new vision of the territory by opening nature resources, by composing new perception from the water, and preserving and highlighting a big, enormous, almost industrial background of this territory. So this can be a very good catalyst for this territory, for new changes in this territory. Thank you.
So now let's pass to our second group.
Hello everyone, I'm very happy to present you our vision of the strategy for Yuzhny Port transformation made by our wonderful team right over here. So look at this picture. What can you see on that? It's basically cranes and some containers enjoying the river view, but not the people. Is that logical? Is that supposed to be like that? I think that the answer is no. So the problem of our sites, the problems of our site should be resolved somehow. And what are the problems actually? The problems are as follows. The territory is surrounded by residential zones on the western part and on the southeastern part, the districts of Yuzhno-Portovy Rayon and Pechatniki, and at the same time it is blocked by the highway on the north and by Moscow River on the south. So the whole area itself, it's like an exclusion zone which is slowly degrading, very highly polluted, and actually not a lot of real economic activity is happening there. The only, like one of the few places with a real economic activity and high potential of growth is the Yuzhny Port, South Port, which is used for sending cargo through the Moscow River and through the railways, but that's about it mostly. So what is the government solution now? It is their strategy is to improve and develop the industrial function of the territory. It is, it doesn't actually have a complex strategy yet. So we'll see how it goes. Another strategy is to construct a new road just in the middle of the territory, so it would block the territory more and wouldn't give any opportunity to be connected or to have complex strategy of growth. And basically this road, some people think that it wouldn't really help the transport situation of southeast of Moscow. It will just relocate the traffic jam from southeastern part to the third ring of Moscow, third transport ring, but actually and bring a lot of new cars and pollution to Pechatniki and Kazhukovskaya metro residential area. So the site and its potential is still unrevealed, and the city is still looking for the missing puzzle. Sorry. We have performed two types of analysis, one of which is SWOT analysis. And just to be short, although the site has its weaknesses and potential threats, we see that it has real potential to be a new center, not only for the neighboring areas, but also for the whole, not for the whole city maybe, but for the southeastern part of the city at least. And the main opportunity of the site is extending the existing social and commercial infrastructure that would bring different types of activities and breathe new life inside the territory. Another aspect of the analysis is site analysis, where we marked the potentials which could positively develop the site, and the constraints which the site has. So the territory consists of many industrial zones, which are mostly constrained because they are just a big, mostly unused space. And so they have to be, we propose them to be removed and leave the territory for the potential development of commercial and residential activity. There is also the southern port, which I described already as an economically active and and having a potential of giving workplaces and taxes to the city, so it's necessary to leave it there. But on the other hand, it's blocking the river embankment, so we'll have to be very precise with working with this territory. And there is also the Renault factory and the Techno Park, which are more or less innovative industries and developing industries, but their territory could be used somehow else in the future, but it's going to be decided later on. Therefore, our main goals, which we want to solve in this project, is to create a new urban center on this territory and to develop the continuous Moscow River embankment. We have also marked the necessary task which would help us resolve those goals, which are connected into three parts. So they take into consideration three groups of stakeholders: the social, so the public, the environment, and the business. And to tell you more, actually the last thing I want to say is that those goals are getting along with the Moscow city policy of creating polycentric structure and developing the continuous river embankment. And to tell you more about how we're going to do that, I will pass the word to my friend Valeria.
So, can we imagine what will be in the future? Yes, so we'll try to explain you. As it was mentioned by Dmitry, Earlier, now this territory is industrial in nowadays. And there is a gap between two districts, Pechatniki and Yuzhno-Portovsky. The main government idea is to keep it industrial as it is. And there is a plan to construct a new highway that will divide our area into two parts, one of them upper and the lower. But it will it will limit an access to the river embankment. That's why we understand that we have to decide this problem, and this new highway, we understand that this new highway should solve traffic problems, and in the city in the whole. But there is a opportunity that it will decrease the potentials that we already have, and it will not develop a parallel area among the riverbank. We suggest to shift a little bit north the highway upper, and it will allow us to create new residential area, as you may see, and along the riverside. A new center in the middle part of our new area will enhance it and support government to achieve polycentricity idea, as it was mentioned earlier, and this center will connect this area to surrounding districts by all ways, by cars and bicycles, pedestrian, ferries, and so on, anything you can imagine. So we have the development includes 3 stages. But we will talk only about 2 of them, because the third is just concentrate on the light industrial area and make it more make it more successful. We activate commercial clusters around, starting with activating commercial clusters around the existing metro stations. So it will help us to create a new local street and promenade street along the riverside. But we just don't want to link it as a tunnel with the end and the start. We want it to be alive. We want it to add some points of view that will allow us to give breath to these districts. That's why social and commercial hub should appear between these existing 2 metro stations. To make this hub more connecting to the city, we suggest a new 1 metro station between the existing of 2 of them. And at the same time, of course, we provide an ecological revitalization for the area to make it more attractive and appropriate for development. So the sewage treatment plant, as you may see on the picture, will help us to clean the water and soil step by step during about approximately 2 decades, I suppose. Planting the green shield along the new highway will protect this highway, I should mention it, this highway will be constructed instead or above unused railways. So this new green shield that we will plant, it will protect the new district and Pechatniki district from the polluted area from the northwest polluted winds. This area and its all should be inspired by existing, rediscovered and new landmarks. So I will...
Okay, I can continue, please. So now we'd like to tell you a little bit more about the
Я прошу прощения, мы...
I'm really sorry. We are exceeding our time limit. Yes, we should give the floor to other group.
We clearly understand that revitalization of whole concept will take a lot of time. So we suppose to start with new existing metro stations to intensify in the area nearby this, because there are already local community centers. And in 20 years or maybe in the 30 years, when we develop this huge waste area to a new urban districts, we will absolutely need a point of attraction of people. We will need a city center. So it could look like this. And also, why we, you may ask us why people would like to get there, for what purpose. So we totally believe that it's a very unique place with its own identity that in our conception we'd like to enhance as much as possible. So you could see some very nice examples. And also we were saying about the waterfront, about some nice public spaces. It could be used like this. You could also see people above the crane. I suppose it will be very beautiful viewpoint to the Moscow River. And another option to convert this area to reinvent its association and image, to use modern street art and graffiti maybe, some cultural intervention. It also could look like this. And there are so many ideas how to use potential of its site, and we were very glad to share with you our ideas, and we hope you will inspire as we are. So thanks a lot.
Colleagues, we have not so many time, so I ask you to speak a little bit shortly.
Not a problem. Okay, so we're going to present the third project for the Southport area, which is called Remediation, and it was developed by Artem, Nina, and Ksenia from Russia, Elia from Spain, and myself, Evandro, from Brazil. So basically, to develop this strategy, we came back 45 years on time. We basically review, of course, just briefly, the master plan of 1971 for Moscow, and we realized that there is a very interesting approach of having sort of radio structured green corridors for the city, but unfortunately the current situation is much different than it was planned, of course, as it happens to a lot of different cities. And as you can see in the second picture, instead of having these green areas, this area is basically mainly composed by industrial sites. So with basis grounded on this disparity between plan and current situation, we decided to come up with a vision that this is basically the current situation that was already explained by the other groups. So our vision is basically to develop a self-sufficient neighborhood, and not only that, I mean a self-sufficient neighborhood in social, environmental, and economic terms, and also for the city government. But not only that, it's also trying to use this model or this pattern of development to replicate or try to replicate in similar areas that you can have not only in Moscow but in other cities in Russia and abroad. And why try to perform such a model in this area, which is extremely degraded, is basically exactly to try to come up with a sort of a blueprint. So basically, if it can happen, and we believe that it can happen in such an area, this can happen, it can be expanded to other areas which are probably easier to implement such a strategy. So as I said, I mean, the whole plan is based on the sustainability of the environment, the people, the economy, and the government, and we purposely misspelled the word remediation because we understand that it's not only about remediating the area, but doing it in a way that we engage all of the different stakeholders. So basically trying to mediate with them and try to understand what are their needs and what their expectations to the area, and try to come up with a solution that fits, of course, in a decent way for everyone that is involved. The main goals are related to housing, jobs, education, and city integration. Unfortunately, due to time limitations, I cannot go very deep into those. but we developed a series of tools, and of course this is, again, due to time limitations, we're going to focus on the three main ones that we think they're more interesting and probably more challenging, which are urban farming, green corridors, and land readjustments, which have been applied in different countries in different situations in also very degraded areas all around the world, and we believe that can be applicable to this site in particular. And to explain all of these different tools, I'm going to pass the floor to my colleague, Elia.
Good afternoon. I just want to give you some pieces of what the tools we are applying in this area. The benefits of urban farming in a degraded area like South Part would be, as Evandro has said before, that a very good opportunity to test if it's possible there. It could be possible everywhere in Moscow, everywhere in Russia, in any city, and it's something that it's been tested in other cities in the world. So the benefits are, we know it, we know them, are about the increase of the property values, are also environmental benefits, but also educational and nutritional benefits for the people they live there. Our approach is to create a productive system, like a sectoral economic system that could be from primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors, but also associated with education, involving the stakeholders already there, involving, of course, the people, the activities, and also the owners and the government of the city. For that, we propose the land readjustment system, that it's about readjusting the ownership, the properties of the land, in order that the government could get the land for free and easier, in an easier way, and than having to buy it, and also to get a recovered investment that it's been done for the area. And also it's about involving, again, the stakeholders of the area. That's just an example that it's been in India, but there are plenty of them. We have studied where are the owners in the area. It's mostly public, but there are also private ones. And we've studied the market situation of the properties, but that's our proposal. So it's enhancing the potential green corridors that we've seen that they're there, and so promoting also that the rivers are another green corridor, and opening a new one, mixing uses, housing and urban farming, and also involving all these existing industries and putting some new green industries there. That we propose a master plan, but it's just like a master plan about timing. It's not just the final idea that it should be like that, but it's just like planting the first seed there and let's what happens. So in order to remediate this area economically, environmentally, and socially, so it's what it's needed, and just how we would done.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is the diagram. We really believe that we can make this territory self-sufficient because of a lot of local industry has the potential for development of this territory for our future project. And we decided that we need to work with existing with local people, understand what they want, with who we can work to make some community, and one of the main, we want to work with investors, and we decided that first of all we need to change the image of this territory to make the green filter. And to find the investors who can build there some apartments and help us to create our territory with farming, urban farming. Okay, next. This is some diagram like how it may looks like. It's about the many levels gardens and farming, and it's like one unit this unit should work only with local industry. Like this territory has for example, concrete factory. They may use it for build the building for this unit. Then this territory has L'Oreal, for example. We may to grow up some green materials for this industry. Yes, and IT center can be like a brain of our territory. Thank you.
Hello. What a wonderful collection of talent you are. I'm so proud of you today. Great presentations. Thank you. I come from the other side of the planet, from New Zealand, and in my neighborhood we have one of the best waterfronts, we believe so. We have one of the best waterfronts in the world, Sydney waterfront with the famous Opera House. So how did Sydney manage that? This is what the place looked like some 50 years ago. So that's not terribly inspiring, is it? However, in planning, it all depends how you look at it. If you can see the potential, then you may get where Sydney is today. So I think the lesson of the three projects is that optimism is really what fuels planners' imagination and passion. In order to convince people that places like this could... Oops, what have I done now? Is this the... Oh, so I'm going to need help.
Можно обратно включить презентацию?
Why is this? Oh no.
The end.
Oh, we don't want to go through... Well, that's going pretty fast. That's a bit of a review. We're getting there. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So visions like this is what drives projects like this, and this is what makes them possible. My point is that I've been amazed over the last 3 days with the passion and enthusiasm of these young planners. They have shown that planning is not all about analysis and rationality. Actually, the heart has a very strong role in it. You cannot have imagination and fantasy unless you use both halves of your brain. So this has been an excellent exercise in reaching some kind of a balance between the head and the heart in planning. And this is why I think we have arrived at results which are interesting. So finally, my message is, what do planners do? Are they engineers? No, they're not. More likely they are Imagineers. And I think that's the lesson of this exercise. Thank you.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the heads of that school and the delegates, and it has always two aspects, an educational one and a practical aspect of what has been achieved. And I would like to ask Alexander Timokhov, what is the practical aspect? What is the practical aspect of your work? Indeed, it's a great work, and within 3 days we couldn't have managed to highlight everything. Очень плохо слышно. Очень плохо слышно. I can't hear him. I can't hear him. Microphone. You can't hear him. I can't hear him. Sorry. А я его не слышу.
No.
I can't hear him. He doesn't use a microphone. Yes, please use the microphone. I can't hear anything. Sorry. What?
Думаю, будет.
Говорите. Use the microphone, please. Okay, Alexandra, will you please take your seat here? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, wonderful. Yes. I would like to say a few words to the heads of the project, to the team of that project. You are real great, and we may draw the conclusions that everything should be open for the audience, I mean the river part, and we didn't have any kind of analysis presented. Why did it happen so that an access to the river is closed? As it is a very substantial aspect, and it's worthy to mention the contribution of the third team. And the result was of a high quality as well as the analytics. And we, in the course of the roundtable discussion, discussed the transformation of the master plan and the approaches to planning. And we identified that the modern trend is that not the result is planned, but the process is planned. And we see it quite well. And that is a real effective current trend. And I would like to wish our guys to analyze on a high quality basis all the processes, be prepared to some new trend to appear. And you really have to work fast, as speed is the essential part of the process. Yes, the key part of our presentation is over, but we have a formal part left. Dmitry Mikhailovich, the floor is yours. Thank you. We have prepared some certificates for the attendees to that program, and we're going to present the certificates to the attendees. Yeah.
Dimitri will hand out those things. So we have Olga Talovskaya. Ksenia Boxberg. Dmitry Surkov. Pavel Surkov. No family. Artyom Gilmanov. Itzhak Enikir, Mustafa Albertagi, Evandro Holz, Nina Isaicheva, Karina Devletyanova, Valeria Patujeva, Elena Markova, Elia Hernando. We have to survive for more. Michaela Brankova, Sebastian Klausen, Ksenia Maslova. Okay. And also we have certificates for our tutors. So ladies first, Dorota Kamrowska-Załuska. Gleb Witkov. And last but not least, Duszko Bogonowicz. And I have one more announcement, because actually it is a kind of usually a habit that we do invite one of the or actually two of the young planners who have been very involved and engaged in the process of the workshop works, to actually participate in our annual Congress. This time this is in Durban in South Africa. So I'm very happy to say that it was very, very, very hard choice. And especially on the ladies' side, it was extremely competitive. But the choice is, so men first, Dmitry Surkov, and ladies second, Valeria Patuyeva. Yes. Congratulations. Okay.
We remember what you said.
And that's how it is. Okay. So, yeah. So we have a picture. So it's gonna be a kind of proof, right?
Yeah. Don't go.
So.
And Dmitry is our previous winner, and he visited Rotterdam last year, and he was the winner of the Young Professional Planners dedicated to VDNH in a year and a half ago. Yes, Dmitry.
Okay, thank you. I hope that we can see you in Durban. And at the very end, I would like to present these two CDs to Mr. to the Vice Director. So please, feel free to use the results of the last year's activities. Thank you.
Спасибо всем участникам.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your participation. Last but not the least, and today's program of the forum is over, and we've managed to finish our deliberations earlier than